Hello and welcome everybody to day one of the final week of the regular season for Summer Split Academy broadcast. I'll be your host on twitch.tv/path2LCS alongside Cubby and Magical on the day. Magical, quick, what's the best Gorilla song? Because you're just talking about them before we went live.
Actually, it's one of the newer ones. I think the Pink Phantom is a really good one if you haven't heard that one before.
I haven't checked it out.
That one and Cracker Island. Those are like the two recent songs that are actually like so good. Feel Good Inc. is really good. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But I feel like those two songs have just been like I've been listening to them on repeat. They slap.
I respect personally, I'm a Melancholy Hill fan, but that's just me. It's a good one.
I love Gorillas.
It's slept on.
It's slept on. Yeah, it is. You could get me talking about them for hours, Mr. Clean, but that's not what we're here for.
Well, thank you for getting us back on track, Magical, because we are here to talk about the Academy teams in their final week. And with that said, on day one, we're going to be focusing mostly on looking into the past and how they've gotten to where they are today, giving a review of a lot of the players. But before that, we want to highlight what just ended this last week because Champs Q Summer Split 2 wrapped up, and this is the leaderboard. Cubby, the mid laner for Cloud9 Academy, taking first place.
Yeah, only player to hit 2300 LP, I believe, even as a peak in this split of Champs Q. Did so with a 71% win rate too, playing a lot of Silas and Yone.
I think that was one of the highest win rates, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's why he's sitting at the top of the leaderboard as Copy. It's fun for us to see this and talk about too, because not only is Copy performing on this leaderboard, but I feel like the last 2 weeks Copy has been fantastic in Academy as well. So really good to see him hit his stride in the back half of the season.
And that's the big thing, is he's found that form that we knew from spring that we were touting as being one of the top prospects in mid lane. He kind of was stumbling in the beginning of summer, but now he's hit that stride yet again and is looking phenomenal. A lot of the successes Cloud9 have had recently are off the back of Copy's play.
Also, shout out to Concept, who made it into the top 10 as well. You love to see Academy players up there. Even Sword from...
Arrow was second. Cad gets 1 and 2.
You know what? Fair enough. I always kind of just group Arrow with the LCS players at this point. But it is cool to see how the players ended up. Congratulations to Copy for taking first place in Split 2. And that means Split 3, it's already started. So we'll be compiling that data going into Proving Grounds to see who's at the top of the ladder there. But outside of Champs Q, we also have had Proving Grounds circuit qualifiers going on. So we want to give a nod to the teams that finish up the quarterfinals. Cubby, I know you had some opinions on this because... maybe some upsets based on what we see here.
Maybe.
Yeah, I gotta say both AoE series were very fun to watch. I think the biggest upset though was Taco Gaming over Cincinnati Fear. Keep in mind that team was in finals against 100 Thieves Next in the last PGOQ, and also that core was no team who were in the finals in the spring second OQ. So the fact they're out now in quarters, we'll see them in PG as they made top 6, but that was a big surprise to me.
Yeah, and looking at Taco Gaming, a lot of people going into the day had pegged them as being the team that was going to lose. Kind of like how, if you look at 100 Thieves Next versus Team Pending, a lot of people predicted a 2-0, that Cincinnati Fear were going to have that kind of result against Taco Gaming. So for them to pick up this huge upset, the 2-1 over the second place team from the last Proving Grounds qualifiers that we had just a couple weeks ago, that is an impressive standing.
Also, I just want to add AoE beat an LCS affiliate and a collegiate team to get both their teams in top 4.
The top collegiate. Well, one of the top collegiate.
It's going to be a civil war for semifinals. Unfortunate for AoE, but still very impressive feat. And they also got both their teams in the top 6. So congrats to AoE.
It is unfortunate, but it guarantees one of their teams makes it to the finals.
Silver lining.
So, yeah, it's always a silver lining there when you have the civil wars happening in the semifinals. But that's our update for everything happening in the amateur scene leading into Proving Grounds, which is coming right around the corner. And to talk maybe a little bit more about our opinions on some of the amateur teams, as well as the ecosystem as a whole, we had our very own Cubby hosting the talent update for this week. So let's take a look.
Hello and welcome to the NA Talent Update. I'm your host, Cubby, here to catch you up on all things developmental League of Legends. First off, I want to introduce Grapes as he walks us through some of his top players to watch in amateur as we move closer to Proving Grounds.
Today's a big day. The 10 amateur rosters qualified for Proving Grounds have finally been locked in. I keep getting these questions. Big G, who are you picking in this year's draft? Who are the sleepers? Who's going to put up the big points against the heart of Academy? Up in the top lane, it's got to be Sniper from 100 Thieves next from me. I mean, this is kind of the obvious choice. Jungle pick might be a bit of a sleeper. I got City Witty coming out from Taco Gaming. Plays super aggressive on the Kindred and has a great supporting cast in Shochi and Rovex to help him shine even more. Easy pickup for me. In the mid lane, no doubt, I got APA out of Maryville. He broke his own record for the most kills in a Proving Grounds game with 19 and leads all players with over 1,000 damage per minute here in the group stage. I mean, let me know how all your fantasy drafts go. Send it back over to the talent update.
Thanks, Grapes. Make sure to give Grapes a follow on Twitter at SpeedyGrapes. Makes a lot of great content within the amateur space, and we'll see more of him during Proving Grounds. Now, for Academy content, we've got Kangas with the biggest lift of the week.
This week's biggest lift award goes to Evil Genius 30.
Luck with Dragon's Ascent. Vital, I think he knows. There's no way that he gets out even with Flash, so he's just dancing around at Surdy. Man, just running him down. What, a TP?
Fast play.
Okay.
Love this.
Draconic Ascent.
For game 2 up against Immortals. Man's played Shyvana top lane with Teleport Ignite. Went like 7-1 and 6. That's a 13 KDA, baby! Good job, Surdy.
When Kangas lifts, he carries. Kind of like Darshan did on Jax versus 100 Thieves this past week. Now, after seeing what a lamppost could do, we sent Mazel on a quest to find more weapons.
This is a weapon!
What is that?
With the counter strike, hopping forward will be Shade and Tenacity. Fed to the Wolves up here. Darshan will get kill number 2.
Is this a weapon?
No.
Yet again that they are going to be stronger later on in the game, but Darshan, that's his flash, should be okay.
Is this a weapon?
No.
This top side with Shaden, but they don't know that 100 Thieves are the wiser to it. Still too fast.
Is this a weapon?
Knocked into the air by
Is this a weapon?
in time as he will fall.
This is a weapon.
Trying to pill off Cloud.
Now this is a weapon!
Oh my god, where'd you even find that? Oh my god!
A double kill acquired as Cloud9 are looking for the closing moments right here, right.
Thanks to everyone that helped with this episode of the Anti-Talent Update, as well as all the previous ones this Academy regular season. We'll be back in Proving Grounds. Until then, may your weeks be filled with positive gaming experiences.
All I can say is never give
Is
Mazel
this
an
a
actual weapon. Never give him a real weapon, okay? You can't trust him with it. And yes, Cubby,
Is
that
this
is
a weapon?
That is the weapon of all the Proving Grounds talent right there. Oh, wow, Magical actually has a real weapon right now.
It's a bottle opener.
Wait, that's amazing. It also looks like a little fishy. No, wait, no, do that again. Do that again.
Yes. It's too thick. It's meant to look like a little fishy.
I love it.
It's
incredible.
a butterfly bottle opener. It's way too...
Can you do any tricks? Can you actually like do any of the cool things?
No.
Can you do any of the cool things?
Well, I put him on the spot, and Magical is not able to deliver. A rare occurrence, I will say.
There we go.
All right, we'll give it to him.
Fancy.
Congratulations, Magical. That is another talent update. We'll have some more coming in through Proving Grounds, as well as lots of other content that we have lined up. But speaking of content, players making their own LCS, giving us plenty of content right now with all the roster swaps that are rumored to happen. One that is secured and locked in already. Soul is back in Academy. That's the big discussion coming into this week. He had, a couple opportunities on the LCS team. Cubby, overall, what was your opinion of Soul in the LCS move, and what's your thought of him coming back?
No.
Yeah?
I'm
Magical
this one.
first.
I'm forcing this one because I talked about this before. I talked about Soul, the expectations going into LCS, and that's why I really want to be able to talk about this because when we looked at him going into, I wanted everyone to hold expectations. A very young player, really new to competitive, getting that sit up in the LCS is a big mark. It's a huge leap from going from just playing competitive starting last year all the way to LCS. It's not something that I think he was ready for, and he even kind of recognizes that himself, saying, yeah, I need more time. You put him in that hyperbolic time chamber a little bit longer here in Academy, then he becomes one of our top laners that we constantly will be talking about in the future. And so I respect his decision to go back to Academy, continue to learn, continue the process of growing better as a player, because it is rough to do that on the LCS stage.
That's a hard decision to make as a player. Cubby.
I think that Soul is someone that I look at just not even as a player, but like kind of also as a person. This is someone that I feel like the system should work for this person, and they should be in LCS given time. I think they just need more time in the system in terms of Soul, because what we've seen so far out of Soul, I mean, guys, he's entered the PG plus, like the PG ecosystem 7 months ago, just started competing this year. You've heard him on interviews in Academy. If you didn't catch his LCS interview, I encourage you to go back and watch it. This kid's so well-spoken, has a great head on his shoulders, and I really feel like just more time of him grinding it out in Academy, going to LCS. I really feel like Soul can make a great pro run one day, and I hope that this experience in LCS just gives him more fans and gives him something to run with moving forward, because I don't think he was put in a fair position. Unfortunately, injuries happened even in esports. I think that he was admirable for stepping up and playing the way he did, and this guy is not going to be a passenger in his games, and that's what really gets me excited about Soul as a player. He's going to push for better or worse, and the more he plays, the more that he gets after it, the better that's going to get. So I'm really excited to see what Soul does moving forward.
That's why I'm excited about him. That's why I wanted to see him come back into the Academy, try to really grow more as a player instead of trying to force himself to learn on the fly, because then you get all the criticisms. People immediately go, oh, he's terrible because he didn't do well in this one game of LCS, even though he only started competitive last year.
Yeah, and like all the casters too. I mean, this is a kid that just took advantage of the opportunity in front of him. All the casters were like, oh, he's like backstage LCS. He's like trying to talk to all of us, just meet up. I know personally, I didn't have a lot of interaction with Soul, but he reached out to me to talk about looking for team posts after the spring. Like, hey, am I doing this right? Like, just to kind of get to know me as well. He's a really, he's a great kid. It's a great kid. Hard for me not to root for Soul. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in Academy, and excited to see his development continue.
And a reminder, it was a very different experience that he had in LCS as opposed to maybe a player that a lot of people were comparing him to in Philip over on FlyQuest, where he went into the split prepared to play with the team. TSM, it was a lot of roster changes at once. Soul taking the step back into Academy, so we will get to see his gameplay today. Yes, Matt?
Before we toss on to the next one, I want to say why it's a little different from Philip too, because Philip has had more time in Academy. This was Soul's first split in Academy. We have to remember that. He might seem like he's a big name now because he has made quite the mark from Anime Girl to Soul. We have already seen such an impact left by this player, whether it be from content, the personality, from the gameplay. But still keep in mind, only summer. This summer was his first stint in Academy.
Well, if you couldn't guess it already, we're a couple of Soul stands here on the broadcast, and we're all excited to see him back playing in Academy.
I like all
That's
the
the
players
correct
across
one.
the board.
The correct call right there, Magical. Speaking of Academy, let's take a look at the current standings to catch everybody up on where we are heading into the final week. Team Liquid still in sole possession of first place in series score, very far ahead of the rest of the competition. Game score as well. And then we see kind of the regulars up there. 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Dignitas, though, having a pretty good resurgence so far in this split. So any big surprises for you, Cubby, based on the current standings going into the final week, or any big narratives that you want to follow going into this final week?
The big one for me, it's FlyQuest holding on to that 6th place position. It's a 4-game gap between them and CLG. It's a 1-game gap between them and Immortals. And FlyQuest plays Immortals tomorrow as well. So that could be a very exciting best of 2. Also, in terms of top of the table, guys, we are ending the week. Path to LCS, first game on Friday. It is Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves Academy. I'm so excited to see that matchup. Busio versus Ayla, 2 of our front runners for most valuable prospect as well. Gonna have a lot of excitement behind it, even if it doesn't dictate the standings, just seeing our 2 top dogs go toe-to-toe.
So let's take a look at the schedule going forward then, Magical, as you give your final thoughts here on the standings.
I was just saying, there's too many blobs. I was just going to say that.
Too many blobs. I don't even know if all the blobs are even updated correctly. But either way, taking a look at the schedule ahead of us today. Of course, we have 2 streams. If you're watching this one, congratulations, you picked a good one. But you also have twitch.tv/academy that you can check out with Cloud9 versus CLG. That is a very big match as well. Team Liquid versus Evil Geniuses, TSM Immortals. But on this stream today, if you're watching twitch.tv/PathLCS, you'll get Golden Guardians Academy versus 100 Thieves, and then Dignitas versus FlyQuest. Make sure, if you got 2 monitors, pull them both up. If you don't, use your phone, use your friend's monitor, use your grandma's monitor. Somehow, find a way to get both streams up and support all of Academy if you have the ability to. We definitely appreciate it. But with that said, that's the schedule for today. If that surprised you or blindsided you, it's probably because you're not following a certain Twitter account. Magical, what's the Twitter account again?
At @mad_magical.
No, that is incorrect. Cubby, care to make a second guess?
I'm going to read the bottom left of my screen and say path to LCS.
It's that
see,
easy.
Cubby, you missed the joke opportunity. You could have said that and said @KingisCasts.
Oh,
That
that's true. You know, I'm sorry, but I got to keep it somewhat, real for
Austin's
the
going to hate us
that
for this one.
He's
He's just going to roast
decided
us
to
now.
watch Path to LCS, guys.
Yes,
Mainstream's Academy, hipster stream.
THTOL.
Can you sign it out for us, Magical? Can you sign it out? I don't think that this is working too much for everybody. I'm just putting Magical on the spot right now. I'm loving this. Sign it with the butterfly knife. He'll find a way to do that. But that is the schedule. That is the account that you should be following on Twitter, and that gets us all the way up to date with our first matchup of the day. So let's start talking about it. Golden Guardians versus 100 Thieves Academy to start off the day. And oh, there we go. He got it.
Well done. A butterfly too. Wow. Summary.
Thought it was just a fly. Okay, so the matchup ahead of us, Golden Guardians versus 100 Thieves. Of course, going to be a tough one for Golden Guardians. They're currently last in the standings. There's not a chance that they can make it into the top 6 as we look at the schedule going forward for them. But first, let's take a look at 100 Thieves and their roster, because I want to start the discussion here. This is a team that is coming in on a relative hot streak, and they are looking like a team that can be challenging for a title. They made it to the finals in Spring Split, Cubby. So what's our expectation for this team as we begin the conversation for their last week of the regular season?
When it comes to 100 Thieves, this team's like the dream team to watch for Academy, because are they really good at macro? No, they really aren't. But you know what they're damn good at? Team fighting. Like, individually, every single one of these players just finds ways to win games, finds ways to like outmatch their opponents. And it's been really exciting to watch, because there are so many games I can point to with 100 Thieves Academy where it's just random fights. It's like, you shouldn't win here, but you do convincingly because you're just better players. And I want to see them start to round that out as we get closer to Proving Grounds and have better mid games and have better macro.
And that's what I was about to say. We're getting close to Proving Grounds, and you got to shore up that, because that could lead to a lot of disastrous results. I mean, we've already seen some of them here in Academy. We've already seen that 100 Thieves dropping games to like Evil Geniuses. So it was a big upset that we saw. And honestly, if they don't fix up that mid game, I could see Golden Guardians taking game off of them here today.
And that would be very exciting. Let's take a look at their schedule going forward, though. 100 Thieves, because again, every team has 3 more best of 2s ahead of them. So realistically, I think this is a fairly safe schedule for 100 Thieves, save for that last match that you already talked about, Cubby. That's the big one between the top 2 teams in the standings.
Not the Dignitas one?
Well, okay.
We'll see who starts tomorrow for Dig.
Yeah, with all the rumors going around in roster swaps, this
fair.
might not be the same Dignitas that we had kind of towards the top of the power rankings here in Academy.
That's true.
It is worth noting. I know that they're on the Academy stream today, but it is worth. Or no, we have them in our second game today. What am I talking about?
We do, yeah.
We'll talk about them then. It's the same roster we saw last week. I'm just gonna get to work here, guys.
Take another sip. Take another sip, Cubby. With that said, though, we want to start highlighting some players from 100 Thieves Academy that we want to look at going into this final week, and also take a look at how they've developed throughout the split. And from 100 Thieves Academy, the player that we want to highlight right now is Jimian, and also specifically because of who he's matching up against on the Golden Guardians side in leader. This will be a tough matchup for Jimian in terms of individual skill expression. But Cubby, I'm going to give it back to you. What are your thoughts on Jimian as a player so far in the summer split? When we look back all the way to week 1, how do we see his development so far?
Jimian to me is similar.
Cubby, let me seal this. Let me seal this.
Magical, you can't keep doing this.
Yes, I can, because I was the one who got the damn clips.
Well, okay. Fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
let me talk about this, because when I look at Jimian and I look at Leader, both of them play a very similar style. They like to play for these side lanes. They like to play for more of the flank style, the melee mid laners. That's when you usually see them really pop off. Like, anytime you see Leader, it's usually him in a side lane. And so, when he goes up against Jimian, I expect there to be a lot of chaos, a lot of fighting back and forth between one another to try to gain that foothold over the other, so they could be the one going for the side lane plays. They could be the ones finding these flanks onto the other side.
I love that we even have like LEC clips for Leader to show off here in the highlight reel, because that's the legacy of this player. Yeah, that best of 5 against Fnatic was insane. Leader as a player is somebody that it was kind of tough to put a button on like what his goal here in Academy was. We just assumed, based on his caliber of play and what he's already accomplished, that he'd be somebody looking to move into the LCS relatively quickly. So as we kind of compare the highlighted matchup between these two, are we favoring either of them heavily?
I think that when it comes to melee versus melee matchups, I'm actually really excited to see this, because Jimmy, he is the one that we talked about in Academy. Like the Silas, the Akali. I mean, Jimmy on these champions is just so filthy, man. But his Leader, also, that's the same reputation that Leader has. So I want a melee versus melee matchup. That's all I want today.
That's a perfect way to get into Golden Guardians now, because we've been talking about Leader. Let's take a look at the whole roster, because he does have 4 players around him as well, and we have to talk about how we think the whole team will come together, even though unfortunately we don't have a picture of Leader on the lower third roster here, along with Prismal, the role swap, 80 carry now to the support role. Also, take a look at Golden Guardians' upcoming competition, because I highlighted and teased that there's not an opportunity for them to punch out into the top 6, which means they will play in Proving Grounds play-ins. It's all about what form can Golden Guardians get to in this final week. And their schedule, it could be easier. It definitely could be easier. But we will get to see them against some of the top teams in teams like 100 Thieves and CLG.
I think that for Golden Guardians, it's curious because, I mean, just like Dig, they have a roster move, right? They have 3 junglers on the roster at the moment. Today, it is Acadian and Leader playing. I'm sure many fans are curious, but that River pickup, it could be even more changes to an Academy team that has already seen changes so late in the season, just given when Leader's visa actually came in. Not to mention the Chime move as well, the TSM. So it's weird sitting here week 7. It's the last week of Academy regular season. We're like, have they even played together? Like, do we know what roster they're playing going into Proving Grounds? And so I think that for Golden Guardians, I know that their record is poor, but I just want to see good moments from the members that we're pretty sure are going to be playing in Academy. Concept, Array, the players where their counterparts are playing very well, I think, on the LCS stage. So from some of the younger players we know are going to be on this Academy roster, I just want to see some better moments from them in this week.
Well, and it's also kind of interesting because we have to always mention this. It's the 100 Thieves storyline, right? Not having the best season, things really starting to, go out the window. We could say the same thing for Immortals, even more so analogous towards what 100 Thieves has had in spring. But it's about how they bounce back, how they look towards the season and then approach Proving Grounds. Because really, that's where you need to put all the marbles in anyways. Sure, yeah, you got to play in the play-ins. Sucks to have that single elim that could get you out of the tournament. But you just show up on the day, you constantly perform your best under pressure, and that will really show the power of each one of these players.
If I'm being honest, I'm not necessarily looking at Golden Guardians going forward to say, okay, how deep of a run can they have in Proving Grounds, or necessarily how much of a competition can they give. I'm with the Cubby train here. Let's look at the players that are still trying to develop and still trying to improve in the Academy ecosystem. Players like Concept, players like Array, even Prismal, I'll throw his name into that hat, even though he's been around a while. He's role swapped now, so he's learning a completely different role. How are they going to, still kind of try and handle this in stride with all these crazy roster moves going around? So with that in mind, let's look at Prismal and start kind of giving him a review of what we've seen so far, because he hasn't been in the role for very long, Cubby.
So it's interesting because I think that both of these teams, when we look at 100 Thieves is a team that historically in Academy definitely has had an int-to-win strategy. And what I mean by that is this is an org historically in Academy. They encourage their players to really push themselves in games in the regular season. They want to have them force, mechanical plays that are risky to see if they can pull it off or not. That's something that Prismal picked up when he was playing on 100 Thieves with, Kelsey as coach. Something that she definitely talked about. She feels like 100 Thieves still has. And honestly, I see from Prismal at the support role. This guy's never ever going to be a passenger in the game. He's always going to look to do things for better or worse. I think that at the moment, there have been some moments where it's been for worse, but you are playing Engage on support on a team that's last in the standings. You're not going to have pretty statistics. So I think that when we see Prismal have good moments, And if Golden Guardians want to have any success in Proving Grounds, they're going to need him to, keep finding better fights and follow up on that.
But this is where I bring up what will be troubling for Prismal, because it's a role swap from ADC to support, going up against our infamous role swap in Busio from mid lane to support. That is a lot to ask for Prismal, someone who's newer to the role than Busio, who put a lot of practice in last year and constantly shown how good of a player he is.
Also, historically, Busio's Academy debut was against CLG when they were first in the standings week 3 of spring. And Busio and Wixie did 2-0 Prismal and Breezy, and solo killed them in both games. So maybe we could have Prismal get revenge on Busio in a different role. And I will say, it might be our 2 best Yasuo players that we have at support in this game. So who knows? Could be a contested pick.
How's Busio's Lee Sin? That's the question.
Senna needs to be banned. I'm just going to say that right now. No Senna. Get that out of here.
Okay, BMFX has been playing a lot of Senna on the side of 100 Thieves to allow Busio to pop off on some of those carries. I'm here at Pick and Ban is ready here. So real quick, I just want to say Breezy did mention to me at one point that Prismal taught him a lot about how to play support when he first got paired up with him in 100 Thieves Academy. So I think Prismal, he's learning the ropes of a new role, but he already has a lot of the experience that he's bringing into it. Let's see if it's enough to go up against Busio, the hands check support in the league, and I'll send it over to Magical and Cubby for game number 1.
Thank you, Kangas, or should I say Mr. Clean, or what's another good thing that I could say about his bald head? I don't know, but we're going to keep going into this. Hey, he was the one before, by the way, everyone said, just before anyone says anything, he's the one who said I don't make fun of him enough, so I'm making up for that. As we get into Champion Select here.
Good on you.
I have to. Silas, banned away from leader. That's been his most played so far, even though he's only played 4 games. We've been seeing how popular that has been, but the Gnar ban, I'm surprised to see that so early, and the Twitch ban.
Okay.
This is funny.
So I will say that's going to force out a Zeri ban, which means that Senna's up for 100 Thieves, so we're going to expect the Senna here. I do want to talk about Gnar, though, because Kangas mentioned that Concept made the top 10 in Champs Queue. He has been spamming Gnar in Champs Queue, and it's something that I feel like Concept, he needs to pick up the meta champs if he wants to move up the rankings when it comes to, being an academy player. And he's made a real effort towards that in Champs Queue. So I actually enjoy seeing him draw the Gnar ban here, as his Gnar's been pretty good in some of the streams that I've been spectating, some of the CQ games. Concept always queuing up. Guy loves to grind, as I did tease Senna for 100 Thieves. Not going to be the Senna. Instead, it's going to be the Wukong for Will, which he is 9-1 on this split.
Yep. I was going to say, only lost 1 game. I think that was even last week as well.
Yes.
It shows how dominant he's been on this champion. Though, personally, I really like the Zac out of him, just because it's a new flair that we get to see. But the Wukong is very powerful in his hands. Well, speaking of bot lane, you talked about how Senna was left open. A good counter to most Senna lanes is having Kalista as the AD carry facing up against it.
Yeah, I wonder if we get a Draven here now, as BMFX has played that once. But Wukong into Kalista, the knockups do feel very good. And we'll see Prismal on this Renata, as 100 Thieves do have the option to counter the lane now if they wish. I did tease the Draven instead. Aphelios is the more common counter that we're seeing at the moment. Looks to be the play here for the side of 100 Thieves.
Has that deceptively long range for the first few levels because of the gun setups, even though later into the game, depending on how your gun setups are, you could have about the same range of a Kalista. But when you pair it with a Lulu, hard for you to do much. That's such a safe lane. We saw it for so long back when Aphelios was like in the meta, like the most dominant AD carry. It was always like with Nautilus or with Lulu. So we get that safety for BMFX and Busio.
Yeah, Lulu was that counter to the Nami when we were seeing the Lucian Nami lane. And the theory of playing Aphelios Lulu into Kalista Renata is pretty similar. You can use the Lulu to somewhat neutralize the lane dominant Enchantress, and then Aphelios guns to try and control the Kalista in the earlier stages of the game. That said, the draft is kept on moving as the mid laner for Golden Guardians is locked in. Gonna take away a few counters to the Azir, whereas 100 Thieves, there's no jungle on the side of Golden Guardians, so expecting a Viego ban and maybe more here on their side.
But looking at Acadian and what he's played so far, he's got quite a good champion pool. It's not like he's only been playing Viego, only been playing Wukong. Those have been some of his most played that we've seen out of him. But the Bel'Veth, he was starting to learn that a little bit more. I'm looking towards other things that he can possibly play that might work well with Leader to really try to set up Leader, because on Azir, you can side lane, but it's not quite that melee matchup that we were asking for.
I am actually curious. One of the counter matchups that we've seen a lot into Azir is actually the Seraphine. Jimmy's played it twice, hasn't gotten a win, and frankly hasn't looked that great on Seraphine. Right. I think it could be a decent setup for it here, though. You have a Wukong you're supporting. It'd give you a little bit, it make you a little bit low when it comes to damage, but if you can absorb that initial engage from Golden Guardians, curious if 100 Thieves decides to snag that again. It does combo really well with the Wukong.
It does. That is a good point to make. But still, I've watched those games. I watched those games with the Seraphine. Wasn't too impressed. So I'm expecting more of the Corki. Just kind of going back to the tried and true. Even though we've seen some nerfs towards Corki, still does fairly well into Nazir lane. You just want to get to level 6. You're more passive. So that would. But the only problem is it would add another passive lane. And we look at how 100 Thieves are right now.
GP
Bot
or
lane,
Fiora?
we're not expecting to see too much of. But looking at the mid lane, possibly even the top lane, because the Fiora might be just blind picked. We've seen that before from Tenacity, but instead blind picking Aatrox.
Yeah, GP Fiora been his two of the most played champions in Tenacity's pool, but seeing a couple people that want to dive in to the backline of 100 Thieves, Aatrox, really good against anyone that has to jump in. Also, good against Concept's tank-heavy champion pool. So we'll see if Concept has something up his sleeve to deal with that. Ryze has been a pick that's been climbing up in priority. I think Jimmy might be returning to it, going up against Azir.
Man.
It's going to be the grab.
See, it's funny because we've talked about Jimmy with a lot of different champions that he's played over his career here in Academy, but the Ryze was the one that we really saw like the first moments of greatness out of Jimmy Han. Was when he played this back, I think, last year, where he was just absolutely dominant on this champion. And so now to see him back onto this, into that Azir matchup, it kind of changes the focus of what we normally would have expected from the side of 100 Thieves.
And I will say on the side of 100 Thieves, looking at the draft, if things go later, I feel like their damage is a little bit low. A lot is going to fall on BMFX, who has that Lulu in his back pocket, has the Wukong that can peel for him super nicely on the front line. But as the game goes on, it's Ornn Azir. And I think that 100 Thieves, their damage is going to fall off against that. So let's see if 100 Thieves can make the plays that they need to make earlier in this game. Try and neutralize what GG wants to do in the bot side and really hit that mid-game spike hard, where I feel like 100 Thieves comp is going to really excel.
Well, see, that's where I was going to even ask you. When do you expect to see 100 Thieves really step up?
One item, maybe.
It seems like that one item, that mid-game, is when they're going to really try to bring the push the pedal to the metal against Golden Guardians. But then, let's look at Golden Guardians. What is their win condition besides just scaling?
I think they can make a lot of plays towards the bot side. You have a Kalista Renata. Azir can go support that. Trundle as well can always find a couple ganks, and you aren't going to get out-dueled by the Wukong too early. Not until Wukong gets that Sunder, and then, God, level 9 Wukong with Sunder is so tough to deal with. So let's see if we'll get off to the races in this game. Make sure the 100 Thieves hit that mid-game spike really hard. We've been asking for better macro decisions out of 100 Thieves and better mid-games. Good opportunity for them to showcase that here.
Here against 100 Thieves Academy, Golden Guardians Academy will try to stand as strong as they can, working their best up in the standings. Obviously, they're already out of contention for the top 6, but better seeding into Proving Grounds is always the name of the game that you can play for to try to get it a little bit easier for yourselves right out of the gates.
So I got to say, Ryze is a pick that I think this is the first time we've seen Ryze in Academy all season. Not magical.
I think you're right. It's been a while.
We've had a lot of games in Academy. If you guys are loyal Academy fans, if you're on path to LCS, odds of that a little bit higher, I would say. But I think we've seen Ryze really crop back up because some of the just meta changes and picks that are popular in mid lane, they've changed a bit. Silas is a common blind pick that we have now. Also, in other regions, we're seeing a lot of Galio being played in the mid lane. Twisted Fate, still an option for a lot of teams. Ryze, historically, has been good into all these champs, and I think it's gotten to the point where Ryze is kind of sneaking back into the meta. It is a pick that still has low win rates in solo queue, but we know how well Ryze can be played on the competitive stage, and how many team plays you can make around Ryze. So I want to see if Will and Jimmy can sync up for that now.
As we have a little bit of skirmish fighting over ward control. Going to be a trade of ward for ward. 10 gold going over to Bucio. 10 gold going over to... Oh, no, it's actually BMFX who got the 10 gold, while Grismo got the other.
Boom. Keeping it even as we're making sure that all of our bot laners are good to go. Have some gold. Gotta say, more interested in the jungle starts, as it looks like both junglers are going to be working top to bot. As
Does that mean action?
Probably not. If I'm in the shoes of 100 Thieves, I think that I want to get Will at least to Sheen before I consider fighting, unless anyone's out and, really mispositioning. on the map, so I don't think we're going to see too much early action, whereas if I'm a Cadian, I could look mid, but I don't see that being likely.
Also, I did look up the stats to see how many Rises we've had played in the Summer Split, and you were right. This is our first one that is played. Jimmy getting one of those comfortable champions here, as he's starting to climb up in, you know, in ranking a little bit. But solo queue is always deceptive because you look at solo queue, you're like, oh, he's got an abysmal win rate, and then you look at competitive, where he's actually a lot better to play because you have communication.
Yeah, I mean, the things you can do with Realm Warp as a team of 5, you can get very creative. And Jimmy and 100 Thieves were one of the teams that really took advantage of that in spring. So good to see Jimmy returning to that here.
I'm just waiting for one day when we have the Scion with a Rise. Have you ever seen that combo? Where you pop the Realm Warp and you get the Unstoppable Onslaught at the same time. And if you can line them up perfectly, you'll transport Scion with the ult still going a long distance and then surprise them because he's still charging.
But you can do that with an Unstoppable Onslaught?
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy.
You could really troll a teammate doing that in that match. You might have just cursed solo queue.
I probably have. You can do it with Nunu too, with the snowball, as well as with his ult.
Yeah, the ult. I've seen the ult. Yeah, that's
that one's the better play. But now Jimmy been poked out pretty low. So Cadian visiting, kind of just scaring him off a little bit, saying, "All right, gonna be harder for you to grab some of these minions. Leader can poke you out, and Jimmy is playing with fire right now. You got to be a little bit more careful than that."
I think he knows his limits here pretty well on the Rise. Might need Will to hover though, as Acadian's really looking. Would love to see him do some...
He just dies, man! I was just saying, he's playing with fire!
Scorch got him. He was trying to flash out of the Comet, but it was Scorch that took him down as Leader.
Burn, baby, burn!
We said that Leader was known for the melees, which, I mean, he is, but also, I think the one thing that Leader's really been doing the last couple of splits is rounding out his champ pool, rounding out his mage play. His Azir's always been one of his stronger mages, because you can still be a playmaker on this champion. Leader making a big splash here, his second week of Academy, finds the solo kill on Jimmy.
Well, that's why I wanted to highlight that Azir, he can play side lanes. You don't necessarily want him to only play side lanes like Leader normally likes to play, but he has those potentials to make plays like that, to be a playmaker, which is something we have seen out of Leader many times.
I mean, I'm not, you know, solo kills aren't an expectation for me, but the one thing that you can
I'm talking
be
about
big
if you go with Leader in his career, you go back to when he was in the LEC, when he was in European Masters. That's why a lot of people have had high hopes for him coming into Academy, because we haven't really gotten to see him for, you know, this entire time until just last week, and last week it's hard to really read how a player's doing when he just gets over.
This is a player where it's clear when he's on his champs, he is so gifted. And I think for Leader, it's just always been about rounding it out on a good opportunity to do so here in Academy. As this is here, off to a good start. Can't take over the game. Prismal, he's going to burn Flash. Nice
no handshake, though. So Jimmy should be fine. Gets the root back on a Prismal. A little bit of damage, but now he's back underneath this turret. He's got to be careful of Leader once more.
That handshake lands. He would be very close to going down.
Jimmy, please! Please!
6 is in for Leader. He has Flash. Jimmy has to be careful. Right. He's trying to trim the wave.
Leader, you know what to do. I believe in you. I've seen you do this before. I watched you on Mouse. I know what you're capable of. Just dive him. Kill him. Get him!
Will is hovering, as fortunately 400 Thieves, the Trundle is spotted on the top side, and also fortunately 400 Thieves. One thing that's going very well for them on this map is the bot side, that matchable. As Acadian finds Will.
Yeah, but takes a lot of damage. Level lead for Will with Bucio right there in the vicinity, so a pillar will go out to mitigate anything further.
Will caught between a rock and a hard place there, as Jimmy will be able to get back this time around. Does have heal if Leader's going to try anything creative. But it would be a wave absorbed mid by Will. Never mind, Jimmy he's not basing.
No,
all this happening is going to cost Dragon.
With no mid lane priority, bot lane struggling to get priority of its own. It's an easy Dragon. There you go, Leader. That's what I like to see, but he's still alive. You got to be careful because there's Will on the other side, but without his own ult to be able to tag you up, it's a little difficult for him to chase blast cones away right over to Canyon, but shifting attention to the bot lane. Double root coming in for the requirement, but that's a lot of damage back and forth. Array takes the brunt of it, the flash away to be able to survive.
He's got Flash.
But with Ignite ticking, he's trying to heal up with some of those pots. Both of them going to hold on to their summoners.
I gotta say, Leader this game has just destroyed the mid lane matchup. I mean, he has just sent Jimmy into a frenzy. I know that Jimmy was able to escape there, didn't have to reset, but he still lost this wave because of the play. And then look at the Raptor camp for 100 Thieves too. Will was actually not able to finish it.
Let's put it on pause. The call of the Forge guy gonna be able to get the knockup. Concept! He turns around at 1v2 to get his own solo bolo.
Oh my goodness, Concept on the Orn. Tenacity, he flashed way too late there. Didn't react to Concept's flash to reposition the Orn Horn either. And he outplays him.
And see, where we talked about Soul before, you know, coming back into the academy, we want to see how he performs in the hyperbolic time chamber. His sensei, the guy he looks up to, Concept, in this top lane. You can see the plays, just the patience he has in this one. To understand, yeah, they're going to go for a dive, but I'm Orn. You don't dive an Orn that easily.
Tenacity's got to react to the Concept flash. And, you know, try and get that off, cancel the call of the Forge God. Once he doesn't, he flashes out too late, goes down to the turret. And Concept with the outplay, man. Good to see our resident tank player.
Hey, he's our resident plays whatever he wants player. Let's be real.
True.
He plays a myriad of styles that are unbeknownst to most top laners, but the Orn is something we have seen on him before. And into this Aatrox, who's pathing towards that lethality build, probably going to go for the Eclipse that we've been seeing a lot more of from Aatrox. Doesn't mean he's going to do any better against this Orn, who's just going to build pure tank.
That does surprise me. I don't think Gore Drinker gets a ton of value this game in terms of the active, but you gotta believe that Eclipse into an armor stacker also is not going to give you a ton.
That's what I was looking at. I'm like, okay, I get the idea. You're not building to try to fight against Concept. It's for everyone else. But then you also have a Trundle. It's not like it gets any easier for you now. Concept is having a little bit of a trade back and forth with with Insanity. The Concept's fine. He's Orn. He's got some potions. He'll be fine.
Something I think is important for 100 Thieves. You can see Blue Buff was just handed off to Leader. This opens up the Rift Herald. You can see Will moving forward.
Look at the damage. Polymorph is used. Moonlight Vigil as well. They're getting a lot of damage on the array, but look at BMFX. He's dying. Oh no, he's not. The shield barely in time. They got the spears with the net guide. An auto attack from Prisma will take down one life while Busio can do nothing but watch.
And everything's coming up. Golden Guardians as that blue take. Will's going to get the Rift Herald for free, but Golden Guardian is able to find the 2v2 in the bot side as Busio.
Oh, Busio! 1v2!
No way.
The support legend! Busio 1v2s!
Bro, this guy is so good. The things that he does at support are ridiculous. And on Lulu, Busio is still able to find the outplays, man. This kid is
how
so
you play
good.
Support. This is what you go for. You go for your kills. You get the kills. The ADC gets the farm. Busio understands.
This kid's so good, man. They're like, we'll have the MVP discussion on Friday as Busio is playing Ayla. And
I feel
for
like
me,
this is going to be Exhibit A for you at the moment.
Those two really are my front runners. This is not Exhibit A. This is like Exhibit X. I already have the other exhibits filled. That magical. We're going chronologically.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh my goodness, Busio, you are disgusting. Able to at least prevent free gold experience from going over to Array as BMFX did fall. Busio able to help recover. We'll see if that's enough for 100 Thieves to maybe play for the second drag again. In draft, we talked a lot about how that one item spike for 100 Thieves very strong with the Rise, the Aatrox. They need to do something with it. It's an even game at the moment. I want to see if they can make a play around this upcoming Dragon because this Azir is just going to continue to scale and pump if they don't.
And that's what I was about to say. Aren't they even a little bit behind on that spike? They haven't gotten any other mythics completed. They're still working on components. Well, he's gotten a Leandry's already built for himself. He's going to be the one that is going to be difficult to really attack here in mid lane. As now, Jimmy was able to get a root fight. Look who's on the other side. It's Leader getting a lot of damage, but now the bot lane shows up with Will getting the Cyclone on Acadian, but then he's trying to heal up with the Subject. The flash coming in with a Dive Cyclone on top of him, but that Ember's Divine keep him alive. Here's Tenacity though. Can he clean up Acadian? Tries to get him. Darkin Blade will connect, and now Leader, he has to Shurima shuffle away.
Busio, he's going to look for slows. As that Glitter Lance does not connect, but that's enough for 100 Thieves to take this Dragon. And Jimmy played that really well. I really like how he passed towards his teammates there. Didn't give Leader the chance to cast the Emperor's Divide on him by passing away. That was a big part of how not only was Jimmy able to survive that fight, but also Will coming in, able to clean it up with Tenacity. That's the first Dragon, or second Dragon, I should say, going over to 100 Thieves.
You know, all impressive stuff from 100 Thieves, but my mind's still stuck on the 1v2 double kill for Busio.
Good. You should keep your mind there when we have our MVP vote, Matt Magical. As, oh my god, that was really good, man. Doesn't matter what champion Busio's on, he's always going to look for ways to make a big impact. Made a huge one there, as we can take a second look. Watch Jimmy. So Leader's going for the combo. He sees that. Leader's stuck behind the pillar. He can't cast the Emperor's Divine.
Yeah.
He has Flash. He doesn't want to use it. So Jimmy passes towards the Lulu. This opens up the 3v2 into the 4v3 angle as Tenacity comes in, cleans up Katie, and 100 Thieves find a winning play on the map.
A really nice flank there from Tenacity. Well, kind of flank, more just TPs into the right position, right place, right time to clean up Acadium. They get the Dragon, so they tied that up as well. And we look across the board. We look at the entirety of the map. Here come those first item spikes that you were talking about for 100 Thieves. They've got the Divine Sundari. They've got that Eclipse. They've got Gale Force. They just need to get Jimmy next.
I think it's really big that we see 100 Thieves do something here, as all eyes on the moment, or at the moment, should be on Will, as Will is sprinting towards the bot side, and Shelly is close to expiring. So
yeah,
Will's got to drop that. Looks like it's going to be plates going into BMFX, I have to say. Aphelios is the late game insurance, so I think the more gold 100 Thieves can get in him, the better. And 100 Thieves at the map, they did get the flashes out of both Acadian and Leader, so they have champions they can look at to make plays on, especially given the fact you have a Rise mid. Want to see if 100 Thieves can maybe set up mid. But
they looked like they were trying to set up a dive into the bot lane. They had Jimmy hovering around just in case. Probably even a countermeasure just in case Acadian was nearby.
And I know Jimmy's behind, and Leader's up a level. I still think you can try and find something on Azir. If you connect, you know, the Rune Prison as a cancel to the dash, it's big. You can play, or you can utilize Wukong to get the knockup. Get Jimmy in to, you know, land an E, and then just wait for Leader to use that EQ dash, cancel it, stop him in his place with that Rune Prison. Could be big. As 100 Thieves, one thing that we've been critical of when it comes to their play, it has been the mid game and their ability. It feels like they kind of fall into fights instead of making winning fights on their own. That's something that we want to see them work on as the lanes bust out. As we still are in the laning phase, but transitioning into the later stages, something to look out for.
Well, and this is where we have to bring it back to the point that you talked about, how the one item spike is going to be the most powerful point for 100 Thieves, yet they struggle at this mid game. So what can they really do to make sure that that is completely mitigated?
They just gotta find the right place. At the moment,
well,
Will.
No!
Yeah, they gotta like actually find the right place. I think it's something where 100 Thieves. I mean, this team's really good. Sometimes it feels like they, you know, just kind of wait for an objective to spawn. They're gonna go set up, team fight there, but they don't really do anything in between. There are windows to make plays in between. And when you have a Rise mid, that's a champion that you're always looking to make plays on. Whether it is a TP to sides, whether it is a Realm Warp, you're trying to do something. So I think that's how they can get around this in this draft, is utilize the power of the Rise and Jimmy to try and get a numbers play in one of the side lanes. At the moment, Tenacity is getting pushed out by Concept.
Again, this is what happens when you build an Eclipse into something like Orange Fury. You'll eventually get that armor pen. But in the lane phase, it's going to be difficult for you to pierce any of that resistance that Concept is bringing.
Yeah, we've seen Aatrox go for the Sereldas quite a bit in this build. I'm curious if we're going to see Tenacity actually snag that second.
I think you kind of have to, don't you?
Death Stance is really strong.
I know, but you got Trundle and you got Ornn.
Yeah, we'll see. At the moment, second rift has been started by Golden Guardians, and it looks to be a trade on the map. You can see BamFX is not joining this fight. Instead, he wants to get first brick for himself in the bot lane.
Yeah.
So Aphelios is being funneled with the red-white guns, whereas 100 Thieves are just going to try and stall this out if they can. Will not be the case. Acadian takes cleanly.
Well, and I even wonder if they just want to go for an immediate pop in the mid lane. That's why Will Tenacity are here. They've caught out Crystal. He's still alive, but there's the Fate's Gold to keep him all alive and going.
Stuck.
Will save the damage. He got the Wild Growth on top of him. They jumped on top. They've got the kill. And now Tenacity, he's got wings, and the wings are flying away from the battle.
Yeah, Will flashing in there. That guaranteed a one-way trip for him, as it was a Fate's Call that saved Prismal, and the flash forward sealed the fate of Will, as all of a sudden Golden Guardians, they can get a lot on the map. Jungle is down. Drop second Rift mid. Use that to secure Dragon for themselves as well. Emily Ram would be happy about that. Even going to get a second crash off, potentially.
Nice.
Really good stuff for Golden Guardians.
And it's playing around one lane that's doing the best as well. Playing around a leader who's had a fantastic lane phase, has gotten himself in a great position over Jimian. And this is not just any Rise player. Jimian, his most played champion in his career is Rise. Only one that can test that is Silence.
Second look. I mean, I like the idea from 100 Thieves, but once Will flashes forward there, if the Fate's Call was already casted by Array, so Prismal, he just gets sucked on up, sucked on in, and Will ends up going down.
And that's always the tricky part about playing against any Kalista, is you focus on the support, and then all of a sudden, gone. Poof. Grabbed up into the Fate's Call, kept alive, and then they can re-engage afterwards. This puts Golden Guardians in a great position, where the goal has kind of been going back and forth. It's now dead even between the two teams. And looking at how Golden Guardians look to play right now, they've kind of got things set up perfectly. They've got leader in a side lane, they've got the three in mid, and they've got the one bot lane in concept.
And being even in gold for Golden Guardians is being ahead, getting the drafts. And 400 Thieves, I mean, this is still a point of the game where their comp is very strong. They need to try and use that because things do not get better for them as time goes on. So, again, 100 Thieves, when they take these faster drafts, we have been looking for them to, try and be more proactive, try and make more plays at this point of the game. Still looking for that here, as the last play they attempted was not great. Now,
Concept is really feeling himself against Jimian here. Looks to see if he can get a little bit more damage, but top lane, another play. Leader versus Tenacity, flash for flash, though. They'll both be alive for now, while Tenacity has to run all the way back towards the turret. Leader doesn't have what it takes to dive any further.
That's Leader in the side lane right there, using the lead that he has to find more advantages. We'll have to be careful. Will does have the ult.
Nice Shurima shuffle, though.
Ooh, wasn't able to cancel as the slide and glide, space glide.
But I also liked how, if you look how Leader positioned that, he went for like a far wider angle on that Shurima shuffle to make sure there was an easy play to get caught by Will.
Yeah, Leader's Azir is one of his better mages. I mean, that was usually the knock on Leader with his time in LAC. It was like, oh, he can only play the melees, can only play the assassins.
That's a knock into his European Masters runs too.
Way back when, but Leader has become a better mage player over time. I think Azir and Orianna for me have always been the ones that have stuck out. See
now Leader's just dead. Yeah. He was playing way too greedy.
Yeah. Maybe thought he had Prismal in range for the bailout. Not the case.
The thing is, I don't think it even matters if you have the bailout, because you get cycloned once, get cycloned again. You're pretty much not moving and just die.
Yeah, he could have gotten his ult off. You never know.
And then die still.
Yeah, but, maybe trade 1 for 1. I'm sticking to my guns here, Mad Magical, as Golden Guardians.
Well, I'm sticking to my butterfly bottle opener.
That's great. I'm happy for you. It's a creative pickup you got there.
Look, I got the props for days, man. You know this. I got all the things
that you think. That's a prop, not a tool?
Well, I mean, it is a tool, because I use it for a tool, but it's also a prop, because it's here on the show. But, speaking of props, you can see that Leader, though he died, was able to finish off propping himself up with another item, that Shadow's Flame that he's completed.
Yeah, that death looked bad, but honestly, it's not the worst death in the world, as you're
free
dying
recall.
2.5 minutes out before
base.
objective. There was no play on the map for 100 Thieves after that, so they still got the tower. Could be worse for the side of Golden Guardians, and again, Golden Guardians, the game state they're in right now, it's fantastic. Scaling comp, that's or even 20 minutes into the game, really good for them, as the only thing that I think can really be a problem for them moving forward is Aphelios, and they have tools to deal with it. See two of them here at Concept.
They're looking for BMX. Nice gale force away, though, to make sure he's going to be able to survive, and that was a little bit of a re-engage on the other side. Will was able to use the decoy to get out of danger, but Tenacity is looking for that flank. He's looking to see if he can continue the fight, but now that they're so split up so heavily, they have to cede control around Dragon.
I gotta say, I actually like that attempt from Concept, and Call of the Forge God, that's a lower cooldown than Gale Force. And it will be up in time for Dragon. Gale Force will not. So Concept, again, I think making a really nice decision there. Trying to cast that ult, trades it out for a cooldown, but trades up as Golden Guardians get shoved in mid. They're going to fix the bot wave. It's a reset for the members that needed it, as both Prismal and Acadian are coming out with some wards in their inventory. And 100 Thieves, we'll see if Jimmy and TPs can test. Again, I feel like they have to team fight now. This is where their comp is strong, and Leader
finds Tenacity, uses that Shrimmer Shuffle, but he's pulled back in by the chain, taking a lot of damage. He's in danger. Leader's dead. Now it's Golden Guardians chasing down the members of Golden Guardians. 100 Thieves have to make sure they're kiting him all the way back towards the base. The flash is coming in from Array. He'll be alive, but Golden Guardians, they lose out on that fight.
That test was at the wrong time for Leader, as that dash into the brush, she didn't have any vision. Using the E there, very risky. 100 Thieves, they punish. You cannot make mistakes against a team like this in the team fight. We know how talented they are at team fighting as a squad. All 5 of these players really play fights well. And if you give them a mistake like that, there's no way they're going to drop the fight. The Leader goes down. 100 Thieves take the Dragon, get some more gold in their pockets. Now a small gold lead for them.
Well, and this is where I would even argue. You talked about how an even gold state does benefit the side of Golden Guardians as long as it stays that way. But 100 Thieves, they're still the mid-game comp. We're still heavily in that mid-game, and they showed their power right there. You saw how much damage Tenacity does to anybody who isn't Concept. He melts through Leader.
Well, you did want some armor pen as well on Tenacity's Aatrox.
Yeah, you know what, Black Cleaver's not bad.
No, yeah, Black Cleaver, I think that's a good build. Honestly, I should have remembered that one.
I kind of forgot about that too.
Yeah, we might have Sorelda's next. That is an option, as at the moment. Leader, he's going to TP to fix the top wave. Tenacity's bot, he has TP to respond. We'll see if Leader can keep going here, as he does have a team to back him up. We'll drop the passive, and Leader trying to funnel himself as much gold as possible. That's not the word. That TP will be back up for Dragon. That's a fine use there. But they're going to start pairing.
I was going to say, one thing is they have a Zir Callista. That is a great neutral objective to take on the side. They've got so much damage that they can try to burst this down. Here's the TP completed. Tenacity is there, but it's down below 50% already. Call of the Forge God does not connect on the BM effect, but they're trying to get the damage on off. Jimmy is still alive on the other side. Let's focus on BM effect. He's still alive. Will goes in, but now he's the first casualty. And Jimmy was cutting out for so long. The flashes come in. They pick up a kill for Tenacity. Make it a double. They could get more. It's a triple kill for Tenacity. Make it more. He wants the quadra kill, but it's stolen away. And it doesn't matter. They've got the ace.
And the start of that fight for 100 Thieves, Concept, he wasn't able to find BMFX. BMFX just ripped through GG on one side of the fight, Tenacity on the other. I think GG got split as they chased Tenacity into the choke. Didn't go on BMFX, and he shredded everyone as punishment as 100 Thieves win out on the fight and take the Baron.
They lose 2, but gain everything. Baron secured, and they can even wait it out if they really wanted to make sure they guarantee it for Jimmy. But I don't even think they want to. They don't care that much because the Baron is secured. They get their backs in, and we got to look at this fight again.
Okay, so first off, watch Jimmy. I talked about over-chasing on the choke. Tenacity repositions here, but Jimmy baits this out so well. Gets the pillar and the Emperor's Divide used on him. He flashed it. So that's a couple ults. Like the Call of the Forge God and Emperor's Divide, both those miss. Yes, Will goes down early, but now watch the back half. They try and chase Jimmy up the choke, but Tenacity, BMFX stopped Leader from chasing through. That's the rest of the damage as Array goes down to Tenacity, and he just shreds the fight.
And it's like, yeah, sure, you get a double kill for Array, but you lost the fight so handedly. As you mentioned, it's the target selection a little bit off by the members of Golden Guardians, trying to chase 2 different fights at the same time. And 100 Thieves punishing, get Jimmy pixel perfect with that flash away from the Emperor's Divide, and now they have the pressure to fight inside the jungle of Golden Guardians. There's a lot of damage traded to bounce around, but Will, he's in danger. Will is over aggressive. Now he's dead with Tenacity getting a lot of damage on a Concept again. Moonlight Vigil, it comes out. They've got a kill on Tenacity. The tank is gone. And look at Tenacity. He wants to chase more. He wants the kill on Acadian, but Acadian will be wise and back right now.
Just another 100 Thieves Aatrox, as at least Golden Guardians, I really like how they played that fight slow, split up Will, and made sure to take him down at the first half. It's much better from GG. The Renata ult from Prismal was fantastic in that choke. But Tenacity's a problem. He got 4 kills in the last fight. walked back out with a Death Stance, bought Mad Magical, so he is at 3 items. And 100 Thieves and Aatrox players, this is synonymous. Tenacity is yet another in a long line of good Aatrox players 100 Thieves has had. We'll see what he can do.
He's the start of it, and now BMFX is really feeling like he's got the power in these fights. With Tenacity's playing again, Tenacity is all over the place. A triple kill gifted over to BMFX with only 2 remaining of Golden Guardians. Everything is in tatters. They had the early game. It was looking good. All they had to do was skill, but 100 Thieves, that mid-game, that is always when they pop off.
I mean, it's just the team fights, man. If you go with the team fights, you do not have a good plan against this team, they will punish. But the big surprise for me this game, BMFX stepping up so well in that Magical. This is someone that we've been critical of that has struggled in this split at times. He's been massive this game, and he just shreds concept there.
Unofficial quadra kill, dominating, 6 kills to his name, and it's not even playing Senna this time around. He's playing Aphelios. He is the carry for the team alongside Tenacity as one final fight will ensue, but this game is 100 Thieves. Unless they try to dive underneath the fountain, this game should be securely in their control.
It was a nice ult there by Prismal as the hostile takeover. Will we stop 100 Thieves from taking the Nexus? We'll force a reset. I really want to get a replay of this next fight because the way that BMFX played this out, Mad Magical, this is something we've been waiting to see from the rookie. We saw him have some good team fight moments, you know, in amateur. Some of his time there competing with Dare, one of the OQs in spring. We haven't seen many moments, though, where he's really stepped up and been a freak in the fights. But, God, that fight in mid lane, up towards top to take those 2 inhibitors, that was the best moment I've seen in the split so far from BMFX. And that's a great sign as we move closer to Proving Grounds. Because we're going to talk about 100 Thieves and their championship chances. A lot of how we frame this team is that, you know, it feels like BMFX at times is still picking up the ropes as a rookie. Is still, you know, trying to get out of Wayne phase, trying to make his mark in these fights. That was a moment, and this has been a game where he's really made his mark. Really good to see from BMFX.
You could tell his positioning has gotten so much better over the split. Compare that last fight to the very beginnings of summer, and it's night and day. You wouldn't even think it's the same player playing.
I will say, I think the meta shift's gotten back into his favor. I like him better on the long-range marksman. His positioning is good. Look at him here.
That's a lot of damage. He's caught out. He had no gold.
He's got
Jimmy does not have TP. He's got flash. And they continue. 4v5 fight.
Look at him go.
He's got it godlike. And now they've got damage. But BMFX wants to get back into the fight, getting a little bit of damage on the concept. The flash in will nearly takes out. Double kill. Can they get more? The flash in. BMFX is underneath the turret, trying to fight and trying to dive. He'll take none with them. But it's a triple kill for leader. As now Tenacity with Jimmy hunts down Prismal.
And BMFX, that fight, he tried to clean it up in the back half. It was not enough, but I love how he saved the flash from the Emperor's Divine, just walked around a position at the start of it. I really like BMFX on the long-range marksman. I feel like he makes really good decisions with how he uses his cooldowns in the team fights. We're seeing that with his meta shift, and his Aphelios was fantastic this game, and a huge part of the reason 100 Thieves is going to walk away with the win.
Walking away with a convincing win where it started off so close, all the way up to the 20-minute mark. We're seeing the gold dead even across the board, but a couple of good fights, great positioning from 100 Thieves member clinches them this first game of our best of 2.
And 400 Thieves, you know, it wasn't as much the macro decisions that got them that game, you know, some of the things that we're looking for, but it's still the team fights and seeing different players step up again. This team as 5 individuals is so talented. Every member on this roster can make a big difference in the games. I think we really saw it in that one, and especially good to see BMFX, the rookie, the one that has the least amount of experience competitively on this very young roster, for him to be the one that really helped carry when Busio went for that Lulu. That's something that we haven't seen a lot of this split, and is a really good sign for 100 Thieves Academy moving forward.
The growth we've seen from this team has been immense, and it's great to see them play this well, especially in a game that could have easily gone Golden Guardians' way had just one fight not gone perfectly for 100 Thieves, but they still find those team fights. This is their power. That's where they always work so well. We're going to toss a step break for now. We'll be back with our host of Kangas for our halftime show.
Número uno, Liquid fue derrotado. Pero ¿quién es el guerrero que podía parar? Mejor equipo cada mía se llama Concept, guardián dorado. Vámonos con el gran chacal, aguantó la tormenta hasta que dio el con. ¿Qué podría ser Liquid sin correr hasta que vino el bonk? Maestro Concept, guardián dorado, golpeó el miedo en su corazón. Eso nunca olvidar el día inesperado.